You are several beams of sunshine right now. Thank you for what you're doing in these hearings. Thank you for saying the tough things. I mean, you asked John Kerry this about Egypt. Go ahead, play the question.
You've heard President Morsi's comments about Zionists and Israelis being bloodsuckers and descendants of apes and pigs. Do you think it's wise to send them F-16s and Abrams tanks?
I think those comments are reprehensible.
Oh, stop. I can't hear his answer. Well, all he said was it's reprehensible, and he's explained them. How do you explain pigs and apes? And then we look at them as any kind of ally. Were you satisfied with this answer?
Absolutely not. And I think at the very least, the weapons should be held up and for 6 months to a year, see if they're going to be a stable government. But really, we don't have the money to be doing it. All it does is make Israel's job harder, because if we give 20 F-16s to Egypt, Israel now thinks they've got to have 25 new ones. And it's an arms race that we're funding both sides of, but it's a real mistake to send it to countries who really don't seem to be part of the civilized world.
You know, one of the things that I'm becoming more libertarian every day, and I'm not an isolationist, but I think we have made so many mistakes because we believe the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Well, we did it for 10 years. We supported the Mujahideen, and guess who was part of the Mujahideen? Bin Laden.
Yeah.
And so for about 10 years, for an entire decade, we supported radical jihad. We thought it was clever that we were for these radical Islamists because they hated the Soviets. Little did we know they also hate us. When they were done with the Soviets, they turned on us.
Right. I mean, it's insane to think that the enemy of my enemy is my friend and you're going to get anywhere. And these guys, what is so frustrating for all of us who just watch this is these guys are not even saying the things. You know, they were all the ones who were against wars. They were against the unilateral decision of this president to just go to war, higgledy-piggledy. You brought this up with John Kerry, and here's your question, and listen to his answer.
Or when people disagree with you, they just go ahead and do it. In the early 1970s, after Vietnam, you were quite critical of the bombing in Cambodia because I think you felt that it wasn't authorized by Congress. Has your opinion changed about the bombing in Cambodia? How's Cambodia different than Libya?
No, nor did my opinion change, or has it ever altered about the war in Vietnam itself, where I don't believe, and I argued then.
Is Cambodia different than Libya?
Well, Cambodia, yeah, it is, because it was an extension of the war that was being prosecuted without the involvement of Congress after a number of years.
What?
That's very different.
What? How did you not just...
Oh, my gosh.
How did you not laugh at that, Rand?
Well, see, the whole thing is this is why foreign policy is so muddled. And it's like, oh, he says, I believe in absolutes. Well, yeah, the Constitution's pretty clear about the separation of powers. It is a congressional power to declare war. And his answer basically was, well, yes, I agree with that, except for when I don't agree with that.
Exactly. That was his answer. I mean, he didn't phrase it like that, but that was the answer.
When it's impractical, basically when Congress opposes you, it becomes impractical. But, the thing is when we were attacked in 1941, December 7th, the morning of December 8th, the president came before Congress and said, we've been attacked, and I think we voted almost unanimously to declare war on Japan. Right. And I think that's the way it would happen in any way, anytime we were attacked. When we were attacked on 9/11, I would have gone to Congress, and I wouldn't have done just an authorization of force, although I know it may be quibbling about a difference. I would have said, we are declaring war on those who are hosting these people.
We should have. Mm-hmm. It would have cleared up an awful lot of things. We should have. Let me just switch gears here real quick on Hillary Clinton. You were almost freedom porn. The way you were. I mean, I almost turned the lights down in my office while you were addressing Hillary Clinton because you said to her you would have fired her. And any sane person would say the same thing. We didn't get a single thing out of Hillary Clinton on Benghazi. When Michael McCall asked, why was the ambassador even there on September 11th, he got gavelled. We didn't get any answers, did we?
No, well, the only answer we did get is we now know for certainty she did not read the pleas for help. She did not read any of the requests for security, and I think that really, to me, is inexcusable. She says, I get 1 million cables. I don't care if she reads every cable from Bulgaria or Estonia, but from the top 5 most dangerous spots in the world, she should be reading those cables. And I likened it to being like a physician. A physician has triage, but I'm still in charge of it, and I have to instruct the people in triage to get back people who are seriously sick. She needed to instruct her inferiors, the people who worked for her, that any information about Libya needs to be on my desk, and I need to see it.
So where do we go from here? I mean, first of all, John Kerry's our next Secretary of State. You think?
Well, the thing is I think that we don't change at all. I asked him about Pakistan. I said, will you condition aid on them releasing Dr. Afridi, who helped us to get bin Laden? And he just frankly said no.
Okay.
So he said he'd plead with them, and I said, look, they don't understand anything but power. You have power over them because they want our money. At the very least, if you're going to give it to them, use it as leverage to get them to release this man.
Amazing, too, when you were talking about the F-16s going to Egypt, despite all they've said about Israel, how he waffled on that. I mean, one thing after another, and this guy is probably, almost for sure, going to be our next Secretary of State. It's despicable.
And he was born at a Waffle House.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's nobody more waffling than John Kerry.
Well, and it hasn't been a month ago that President Morsi was at a prayer meeting with a radical sheikh standing next to him saying, death to Israel and anybody who supports Israel. So it's like...
And wait, and don't forget, and the new capital of the caliphate will be Jerusalem. I mean, that was at that same meeting.
Yeah, so the thing is what we've elected or what they've gotten in Egypt is a very radical government that I think can't be counted on not to attack Israel, and we shouldn't be giving them weapons. Absolutely. Until there's some kind of stability, and even then, we don't have the money to be doing it anyway.
Will anybody pay for the mistakes in Benghazi? Or will we ever find out for sure what happened?
That was my point in pointing out that her resignation is her being held accountable and culpable for these mistakes, because she wants to make it as if, oh, yeah, I'm responsible, but I'm not accountable.
Right. And
nobody was fired. And what really got me going on this is that I think back to the original 9/11. We did a huge investigation. We found out we had the 20th hijacker. We found out that one FBI agent requested 70 times for a permit or for a warrant, and nobody would let him do it. We had all these mistakes, and no one was fired. We spent trillions of dollars, and no one was fired. A lot of these were human errors, and when humans make mistakes, it doesn't make them bad people. I don't think Hillary Clinton had bad motives. I don't think she's unpatriotic, but I think she made horrible decisions that really, at some point, make her, I think, not eligible to be in a position to make those decisions again.
So one other topic. Today or this week is the 40th anniversary of Roe versus Wade. It is absolutely incredible, some of the stuff that is coming out now from the left on, one on Salon Magazine. You have to read this. It's an incredible article from a lefty that says, I never, when I was carrying my children, I never doubted that was life inside of me. But this is a quote: not all life is equal. We're headed down a scary road with these people.
So much for equal rights, huh?
Yeah,
so much for the whole idea that we are all the same, no matter what color our skin is, whether we have disabilities or not. But if you're pretty small and you're defenseless, then you don't have any rights.
Pretty frightening. You're speaking at the March for Life rally today?
Yeah, this will be my first time. I tried to get there last year, but the TSA had other ideas for me last year. So this year I'm actually in Washington, so I don't have to go through an airport to get to March for Life. But I'm excited about it. It's a big crowd, and I'm excited to be there in a couple hours.
Tell me quickly, square the libertarian point of view that there should be no regulation on anything you do.
Well, the thing is most libertarians believe in what's called the non-aggression principle, that you can't aggress against other people. So once you define where life begins, if those in the womb are alive, all libertarians then would believe in the government preventing you from aggressing against that individual. It all has to do with when does life begin.
I will tell you, Senator Rand Paul is, I believe in my lifetime, the first libertarian that I believe could be president of the United States. You make sense, you're rational, you're reasonable, and you look at the facts on the ground where we are now, and you're not like, hey, let's legalize heroin on day number 1. It's you have to move slowly and move the country in the right direction, and still stand for your principles, which I think you do.
Well, I think also the country's ready. The narrative is out there. People know that Republicans aren't winning. We start out minus 170 electoral votes. We're going to have to look to some different kind of candidate the next time around, because we just are getting to the point where we're never going to win again unless we approach and embrace some kind of new candidacy.
Well, I will tell you this. I think the GOP is the Whig Party. I think the GOP is over. It just hasn't caught up to the GOP yet, and I hope we don't have to lose another presidential election for them to understand that. But the GOP is over. They have discredited themselves too much. They don't stand for anything anymore except winning, and it's despicable. Stand for principles, and then win or lose based on those principles.
Absolutely. That's how Reagan grew the party. He didn't try to please everybody. He didn't pander, but he spoke truth, and people came.
Rand, thank you very much. I appreciate all your hard work, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Glenn.
You bet. Senator Rand Paul.
The way he answered that question was interesting. I wouldn't say there's even a slice more than a 98% chance he's running for president in 2016. Just no more than 98%.
Oh no,
though.
He's running for president, and listen to the way he's handling himself, and he always has.
Yes,
but I mean, he is a very, very smart man.
That's good, though. I mean, I'm saying that's good. A positive. Even if he weren't, he seemed like he'd be a great nominee. But even if he didn't win, he would push the party in the right direction, and that's important.
Although I am a little disturbed by some of the headlines on Rand Paul, at least lately. I mean, we had one, Rand Paul drills Hillary. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's really
it was accurate, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not the only one who wrote a headline like that.
No, there unfortunately were a lot of.
There were some.
There
other
were
ones.
several.
There was another Rand Paul drills Hillary. There was a Rand Paul pounds Hillary. Unfortunately, Rand Paul hammers Hillary. Rand Paul nails Hillary to the wall.
Okay. My favorite actually came from Jeffy just a few minutes ago when we were talking about all these headlines, and it was Rand Paul shakes the cankles.
This is